What is up, Glory Gang? Welcome back to another episode of the Glory Boys podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
And I'm Darren.
And in today's episode, we have a very special guest.
Yeah.
His name is Trevor Colson with Trevor Coulson Media in Lincoln. He is a father of 2 and a husband of 5 years and just went full-time in his video business about 6 months ago?
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Let's go.
So fresh into full-time filmmaking. And man, has he got some nuggets to share with you today.
We really hope this episode encourages you guys. It really brought me and Austin back to when we were facing the decision of should we go full-time into our company.
Well, I can't wait to hear what Trevor has to say. Without further ado, let's roll that intro.
Let's go. All right, well, Trevor, we're super pumped to have you on the show. Welcome to the Glory Boys podcast.
Yes,
you're here.
Super stoked
in
to
the
be
flesh.
here.
Another homie, a friend of ours from Lincoln, running a company. You went full time, and you're a dad and a husband, and you've been doing this for some time. Just tell us about yourself. I don't want to talk about you. You talk about you.
Sure. Yeah, I am all those things. I'm a husband of 5 years. I'm a father of 3 years.
Yeah.
Went full time. Was it June or July? So just a handful of months ago. And that has been quite the journey.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Well,
so
congratulations for one, because going full time in this industry it's scary. It's tough. There's a lot to learn. So great job.
thank you. Thank you. And you guys played a huge part in that. I don't know how many times I've been in your DMs asking questions and what do I do for this? And what do I do for this? And you've facilitated my success to this point. So I'm super thankful for you guys.
Well, you did all the hard work. We just answered questions that we were idiots about, things that we had messed up on. We're like, hey, if anything that we do as a successful company, at least help other people start and not make the same mistakes we did. So we've been honored to help, and random text messages or DMs from you. I remember your brother gave you my number that one time, and you would just like send me random things, and I'm like, Austin, Trevor needs this and this. I know the first answer, but like, do you know what the next thing? So it's been fun to be able to help the community, help you guys, and help you kind of like feel confident like stepping in full time. It's awesome. That's literally why we do this podcast. It's why we do what we do. We love helping people.
Right. Yeah. And you guys do a great job. And part of the mystery of DMing you is I never know which one I'm talking to. And so it's like I get to know both of you.
It's like usually Darren, but every once in a while, like once a week, I'll get in there and just randomly DM some people back.
It's sick. Yeah, it's sick.
And we talk very differently too. So I feel like if you read and try to feel whose voice fits that text, you can probably usually tell, but
study it. Yeah.
It's a mystery.
That's great.
You never know. I like to keep you on your toes.
It does remind me of the story of Jade and Chase's wedding. Darren, you weren't there. You were stuck in Atlanta, and I was an attendee at a wedding you guys were filming, and I'm parking. I'm getting out to go into the reception, and Austin's there. I parked right next to him on accident, actually. I'm getting out. I told my wife, "Oh, look, there's Austin from Glory Visuals," and he's getting stuff out of the car, and so I just walked past him like, "What's up, Austin?" and like just chatting as normal. He just strikes up conversation just like normal, getting all of his stuff. I asked him if he needs help carrying stuff. He's all right, but we chat all the way from the parking garage all the way into the reception.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to let him do his thing. I don't want to overstep. He's, trying to work. And so I just carry on without my evening. It was going great. He was working, and Bray was there, and one of your interns as well. And so the night carries on, and I see Austin a few more times throughout the night, and eventually I go home, and then I just get this DM later, and it was just like, oh my word, I am a jerk. And I was like, what?
That
what
one was from me.
Yeah. I was like, what did you do? He's like, dude, I had no idea who you were. And I was like, what? And so that was a wedding where both of you actually maybe knew quite a few people there or have known in the past. And so I remember Austin telling me he's just racking his brain to try and remember who all these people were. And so I was just like kind of another face that knew him. And to his point though, you've never seen my face.
Yeah.
Or seldomly probably, because my profile on Instagram and all that is just my logo and stuff. And so it's just funny. It's just completely normal to me. I see a ton of you guys. I watch all your stuff. And yeah, he knows me, but you've never actually met me. And so that was hilarious that we spent a whole evening together. He had no idea who I was.
It's funny because if I were to be there, I would have told him right away, because I had been in connection with you probably before him. And then Blake, I mean, you guys like look alike. I mean, you're brothers. And so like, I just knew what you already looked like. Sure. And like, so it's just funny that he went through that whole journey of of him trying to figure you out. And granted, to give the benefit of the doubt to him, he literally went to a wedding that he knew like tons of people from college.
Right.
So like he was walking into like his past and a bunch of random stuff. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'd want to shoot a wedding like that. I don't want to know everybody. Just let me do my thing. But that's kind of funny how that how you guys like met each other at the parking lot.
Yeah. If it had been now, it would be different because you put out like fire TikToks that have you in them. Yeah. This was like before that. So I looked at your page and I'm like, I still don't know what you look like. We've had full-blown conversations. I'm like, but I have no idea what you look like. So that's
point.
That's
like
funny.
meeting your pen pal, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know what they look like. You just, send notes to each other.
Yeah.
And
seriously.
Now we can be best buds in the flesh.
It was a really pure moment for Austin. I loved it. But I honestly, to his credit, I could not tell that he didn't know me.
I was like, why is this guy asking me about my drone? I'm like, why would any of my college friends care about, I'm like, okay, so he didn't go to college with me, but he also didn't go to high school with me. I was so confused. But yeah, after I found out, I felt so bad.
You did. You felt bad, but you didn't need to. It was fine. I thought it was really funny.
I love it. Yeah. Well, all that to say, you're here. We've obviously connected over social media many times over the years, and now with you jumping in full time, it's just awesome to see you crushing out shoots and learning and growing and all of those things. And not only just in your marriage and your family with having a baby and or a 3-year-old now, right? Or two.
I have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
So you have 2 kids, which is awesome. And God does say like be fruitful and multiply, and that's what you're doing. So good job.
I'm doing,
but something I just want to hear you share, as you were kind of gearing up, having 2 children, having a wife that you want to take care of, having a home or a mortgage, having a lot of, financial burden as, a leader of the household, you're a husband. Like, what were some of the thoughts that came up, and what were some of the things that you and your wife discussed? And then what was like the defining moment of I'm going to step into this full time. Like I'm doing this, and like getting your wife on board with the uncertainties that come with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it all starts, with just where I was at, and I can get into it more a little bit later, but I was working for a company called Huddle in Lincoln, and it was awesome. I loved the people there, and that's kind of where I was introduced to this whole world. But then kind of skipping to the end of my tenure there, I just wasn't like being fulfilled by the work that I was doing. And, I could only take that for so long, and I was introduced to the video world, and I was still very new. I didn't go to school for any of this. I still had a ton to learn and still do. But it was basically just, I wasn't happy, and I could not go through every single day anymore, just like dreading what I do throughout the week. And so I started to have discussions with Bethany, and she's a rock star, and she's given me her support from the get-go, which is priceless. Yeah, that's great. And so I just started to have conversations. What would it look like if I did this full time? Like, what would it look like? What does the timeline look like? How do I prepare myself for this? How do I prepare our family? And ultimately, we prayed about it, and I actually had this really, really powerful retreat that I was a part of, where me and my father-in-law went to Colorado for what they call a man camp, and it's just a men's retreat with the local church out there, and we're friends with the owners of the camp and whatnot. And so we go out there, and I had one goal in mind when I went out there, and it was to encounter the Holy Spirit in order to know what my next step should be.
Awesome.
And so that's really like, I went into that trip saying, I want to hear from the Holy Spirit, opening my heart, opening my ears. And I knew without a doubt that after that weekend, if the Holy Spirit said no, or if I didn't hear clearly, then I wasn't going to pursue this. and the bottom line was basically, if God's hand is not on this, then my hand's not on it either.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Great.
so I went to the retreat, and right off the bat, the Lord worked, and just with the prompts that they had and the questions, it just like fit the bill with exactly why I was there. And actually met a kid who was 21 years old, younger than me, and we were just chatting kind of off keel and around the fire, and he just coincidentally walked me through his last 6 months of his life, which was him stepping out, going full time on his own for his own business, unrelated to video. And it was just like confirmation to me of like, you got to do this.
Yep.
And so I took it back to Bethany and was like, this is what happened. This is what the Lord told me. And she was like, then do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, don't sit here and plan it out anymore. Cause that's kind of my personality. I don't want to jump into anything that's not analyzed really well first. And she was like, if God told you, we do it.
Yeah.
And so, we did. I brought it up with a conversation with my manager at Huddle at the time, and it just worked out. They got me on a plan to, this will be your last day, and we'll extend it. And, you know, by God's grace, we'll extend it past when you get your bonus pay, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So I kind of used that to help kickstart some equipment I would need once I was on my own. So yeah, it was a lot of prayer. It was a lot of preparation with Bethany. We knew it wouldn't be easy. Budgeting differently, knowing I wasn't going to pay myself, still I'm not paying myself, to be frank. And just some like really tough stuff, but it's like ultimately worth it for us. And so I had her support. We went for it, and haven't looked back yet.
That's so awesome.
That's awesome.
It's really interesting that you say that you kind of went to this retreat hoping to hear from the Holy Spirit. And to our listeners, maybe that is foreign to you. We are all Bible-believing Christians that believe in the Holy Spirit. And sometimes people, you know, say that they want to wait for something till God tells them. Well, so just to clear that up and just to discuss that, like, God sometimes doesn't just come into a dream or come into your bedroom and go, you should start your business.
Sure.
It's honestly like God will use somebody like this 21-year-old gentleman that sat next to you and said, hey man, you know, I've been really struggling with this. I'm going to start my new business, but I'm just going to step out in faith. And you're like, oh my gosh, I literally came here to find out if I should do that same thing.
Exactly.
You're telling me you're doing it. I'm going to do it. And God used that guy to speak that to you.
Yeah.
And I just would encourage you, when those moments happen, God cares about your heart, cares about the desires of your heart, and he cares about what you want to do ultimately.
Yeah.
And the thing that when you're a believer, or when you love Jesus, when you follow him, when you lead your life with him in mind, like you said, your his hand and your hand are on the same thing. You will feel a peace in your spirit about that. You'll feel a peace about, I want to do this thing. Full force, I'm leaning in. And that's just a little teaching moment for, if that sounds a little different, like I wanted to hear from the Holy Spirit. That's kind of what Trevor means when he's saying that. So I love that, man. And clearly you heard and you stepped out. You have a business now, and you're doing it full time with full support from your wife, from full support from your family. And you know, you haven't paid yourself yet, but you know, you'll get there. We did the same thing. We did pay ourselves for a long time. Actually, we paid a lot more money into the government than we did to ourselves for the first year. So we totally understand that, but that's just awesome, bro. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
That's so awesome. So many great points that you could break down into entire episodes right there.
Wow.
And just to double down on like what you said about when you got confirmation, your wife even was like, don't wait any longer. Like, and I think that's an important component of it, is if you hear something and you get that confirmation and that peace, just go for it. And, so now that you have a business, you went for it, you're full time. How's that going? What kind of projects are you working on? Catch us up to speed on Trevor Coulson Media. Yeah,
it's great. So I got my foot in the door with weddings. And originally I didn't want to do weddings because I didn't want that to be all that I do, but they're good money.
Welcome.
So,
Join the club.
I'm talking to the pros here. So I'm doing weddings. I have no more slated for this season, so I'm editing my last one right now, and I'm super pumped about it. I think it'll be my best one yet.
Heck yeah.
And then I'm really open to a variety of other things, and so I've had kind of a retainer with a food blogger client who I do recipe videos for. which is also turned into one of her bigger clients, reaching out this last week to do some marketing type videos, things like that. Real estate I'm really open to. So I do have some avenues that I'm pretty interested in and interested in pushing forward. And even earlier today, kind of off camera, we were chatting about ways that can happen, and you just get connected. So that's awesome. But I'm really interested to see kind of, this will be my first sort of off season in this, and just as far as like when I first started, when I went full time, it was like peak wedding season. I booked a few things, so I was kind of on the ground running. But now things are going to slow down, and I'm really going to have to push myself to figure out what type of business is out there, what type of business do I want to push forward, and what kind of clientele I want to get. So it's kind of interesting. I think I'll have some time to pursue some creative projects of my own that I've been wanting to produce and put together just to fulfill my own creative needs. And I figure if I'm not paying myself right now anyway, and I have the time, then I might as well do it. So, you're going to see a bit of a mix from TCM. It's going to be some client work still, but it's also going to be some more, you get more of me, more of my personality, more of my creative ideas. So
that's really great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm super excited for it.
I think something really important that you said there is that you're going to see more of me and my personality. And I think a lot of times in our industry, you can really stand behind like your gear and your branding and like really flex and like, and I think there is a time and place, but it's just not our vibe to like not be who we are.
Right.
If you've watched anything that we've ever done, if you've seen anything that we've ever done, we're absolutely ridiculous in everything. And I think people relate to that when you're just real and open. Like, I think even you just had recently put out like a multiple amount of TikToks, like, with stereotypical like video scenarios with like people at weddings and stuff. And they're super goofy, super fun. But like, I think people will see that and they'll relate to that, or they'll be like, oh, Trevor's like really cool. Like, that's fun. He's fun. I'm going to hire it. Like, that stuff matters so much more than I think we give it credit for. And I don't think it's unprofessional to put out fun, goofy stuff that's your personality. I just don't.
Yeah, and I think one thing I've taken from you guys a lot, and that just I've seen a pattern of even in other companies, is like authenticity will make or break a company.
Yeah,
like people, whether they know it or not, they will read into and they will feel authenticity. And if it's not there, it's not there. Your product's fake. You don't care about it.
Yeah,
you're in it for the money, whatever it may be. Yeah. People feel that, and people are pushed away from that. So I think authenticity, just in no matter whatever you're doing, but especially in our industry, is a make or break.
You have 2 kids. And one thing we were talking about right before we started filming is I was telling you that I have no idea how going full time would have gone if I had Hazel when we did that. And dude, mad props to you. Like, the amount of respect that I have for that, because it was a different decision to make 3 years ago when I made it. And we kind of already talked about your journey of going full time. But how do you juggle all of that now, having a freelance business, having 2 children, having a marriage to maintain? What's your secret sauce? How do you juggle it all?
Yeah, it's tough. It's no walk in the park, that's for sure. My boys are 3 and 1.5, so not only do they just exist, but they are all over the place. They have so much energy. All they want to do is play. And they love their dad, and I love them, and so they just want to spend all their time together, which is awesome. But for me, that means whatever time I have away, I have to make great use of. And so it can be tough at times, but basically I wake up, get them to daycare. My day doesn't start until their day starts, essentially. So I wake up, my wife goes to work, I get the boys to daycare, and I come home, and I'm just working from that point. And I have basically, whenever that is, 8:30, 9 o'clock, until they get home around 6. And when they're home, no more work. I'm playing, I'm cooking, I'm changing diapers, doing whatever. We aim to have them in bed by 8:30, 9. After that, if there's still stuff to do, it's back downstairs and you're working. So I'm sure you guys know everything there is to know about kind of grinding it out. And that's kind of what it turns into. You just, you make it work. And if I waited for the perfect time to do this, my boys would be 18 years old and I'd be old fart and it'd be way too late. And so Honestly, all the respect you have for me should be bounced to my wife, Bethany. She has been a financial provider for our family for a long time. Even when I worked at Huddle, she's in an awesome executive position where she's at, and it's not been without its troubles for her. And it's not been without, some obstacles for us as a family. But part of that decision when we made it to go full time, we knew it was in light of in parenthood, and so she honestly has taken a huge burden and allowed me to even take this risk financially and be able to not contribute in that way, which is like a huge, like you mentioned, I'm a leader of the family, and there's like a certain ego that goes with that, and it's been really tough to kind of curb that and let Bethany financially provide everything,
totally,
every dollar, and so then that's just up to me to step up in ways and make sure, number one, make sure I'm working hard and working towards the goals and not just sitting back and letting her do that.
Yep.
But then also stepping up and leading in other areas of life. So yeah, it's been really tough. And you say you can't imagine it. I can't imagine it any other way, because it seems like if I did it earlier, maybe I wouldn't have been prepared and it would have made more sense logistically. But I didn't know what I was doing, and that's another conversation in itself. But so I kind of saw it as like, this is the only time. So if you're going to do it, you're going to do it now.
Yeah, that's great.
And so that's how it worked out. And I love their support, and it's so cute. When I wake up like today, I told him I was coming to Omaha. He was like, "All right, Daddy, you got to go to work." And it's funny when he understands that I have to work on weekends sometimes, and that means me not being in the house, but that just means I have to maximize every minute I get with them, when I am around and when I'm not filming, and I'm happy to do that. So,
that's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a cool perspective. Love it.
Yeah, thank you.
So what do you do if somebody hits you up on a weekday for a nighttime shoot?
Kind of take it on the fly. Say, Bethany, does this work?
Yeah.
Does this make sense? Tell the boys, Daddy's got to go do this or not. So yeah, it just kind of depends. Luckily, I haven't run into that too much. I am always down for kind of whimsical shoots or shoots where I have to travel and stuff like that. But it is another aspect to have to consider when I have a family, and I don't want to leave Bethany stranded by herself with two crazy little boys all the time.
Yeah.
But again, she's a rock star, and she supports everything that I do. And so if I were to come to her tomorrow and say, "Oh, I got this awesome opportunity to travel for a week and film this thing," it wouldn't matter to her. She would say, "Go," in a heartbeat, and we'll see you when you get back. So yeah.
And that's not, some people can listen to that and be like, "Oh, that's really irresponsible," or whatever. But I think what you're saying is you guys came together at the beginning of this. You made a decision. This is a season. Like, you're growing a business. Yeah. So there is sacrifice. And the sacrifice falls on you and your wife and with your kids. And you guys have decided together, like, hey, right now for this season, this may happen a few times or whatever. But I think it's really beautiful that there's a partnership in the decision that you guys made. You stepping in full time and you guys running full force together. You guys, it's a family unit. You guys make decisions together. Yeah. It's not separate. It's not one or the other. It's literally both one and the same. And so just like, that's really awesome. I'm pumped for you in this season, but I'm even pumped for you to be in the next season, because I think there's a lot of really cool things ahead for what God has on your life, for sure.
Thank you. Bethany always jokes about how her name's not written into the business, which is true. It's just my name on the business, but I don't make decisions like that. I make sure that she is in on every single decision. Yeah. Because she is the one allowing me, along with God, allowing me to do this and take this step. And it's risky for a young family. But she's really an enabler in that way. So
it's awesome. Yeah. I love it. Wives
Shout
are dope.
out Bethany.
Yeah.
Good job, Bethany.
Yeah, Bethany.
That's awesome.
Good job, Callie.
Good job, Callie.
Yeah. Good job, Mariah.
Mariah.
Hey, our wives are pretty cool.
Dude, we have great freaking wives.
It's a superstar lineup.
Hey, thank God that our wives let us do this.
Hey, they don't.
Thank God our lives let us wives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Good point.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and just everything. I think you have a lot of encouragement to people that may be on the fence of like, man, should I start this thing? Well, you're living proof that you can do it. Obviously with an amazing support system and amazing kids and amazing wife to do it for, and amazing God to do it for. But I think is there anything that you would like to leave somebody that were maybe in your space a few months ago, in your mindset of, man, I don't know if I can do this. I should do this. I feel called to this. I feel at peace about it. Should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it part-time, get a part-time job? Should I grind throughout the hours of night? Like, there's so many things that you go through. Yeah. What would you leave with them with?
So many things. Yeah. I'd say my one focus has been obedience. And again, that's obedience to the Lord. And like you said, we're Christians, and I believe He's got a perfect plan for us. And as long as I'm walking in faith and obedience to Him, I can't make a wrong step. And so that's really kind of where it musters up for me, is as long as I'm walking in obedience and putting my own desires aside and my own doubts aside and saying, God, if this is what you want from me, let me do it, and let me do it now. I think that's what I would leave someone with. And if that's not you, if you're not a person of faith, that's okay. I'd love to tell you about it. But I would say just have some confidence in yourself. And again, if you're waiting for the right time, there's never going to be a better time. And so you just got to take the leap and take the risk. And if you fall, get up and try it again. You know, it sounds cliche to say, but I never thought it would be me in this position doing this. But eventually you get so tired of watching other people do it and you not getting to do it yourself that you take that step. So I hope I am an encouragement to someone who's stuck in this rut of maybe deciding whether or not they should do it or how they should do it or something like that. Reach out, use resources that you have, use other people, other small business owners outside of the industry, just anything and everything. That's one thing that I found kind of counterintuitive. Was like, I thought it was going to be a really lonely process working for myself. But I've seen more support doing this, working on my own, quote unquote, than I have ever before, just because other small business owners want to see you succeed, and people like you who do a great job of being leaders and enablers and just training people up to walk in success. There's so much of that out there, and people genuinely want to see you succeed, and I want to see you guys succeed too. So I would say reach out, use your resources, have some confidence, and go do it.
That's so good, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you ever have questions, reach out to us, reach out to Trevor, hit us up on Instagram, or just shoot us an email, hello@gloryvisuals.com. But I loved this talk. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, sharing your wisdom with us, and your obedience is obvious by the fruit that your family has and shows, and the favor that's on your life. And so Darren and I obviously will continue to pray for you, your business, and are so excited to see what the next season holds for you. The sky's the limit, and you're going to do awesome things and make huge moves, and we can't wait to see it, and we're honored to play a small part in it. And so thank you so much again for being on the show today.
You bet. Thanks
and
for
you can
me.
slide into our DMs anytime.
Thank you. I still will do that.
Hey, before we go, where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, at Trevor Coulson Media, 2 V's on Trev, Trevor Coulson Media on Instagram, Trev C Media on Twitter, just Trevor Coulson on YouTube. TrevorCoulsonMedia.com is my website.
All right.
It's pretty sick. I'm stoked about it. So go check it out.
There you have it, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Glory Boys podcast. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified every time we drop a podcast on Fridays now. Changing it up. Podcasts on Fridays. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. Let us know what you think of the show. And until next time, can't wait to see you in the next episode of the Glory Boys podcast.
We love you guys.
Peace out.